Welcome to Two Tired Teachers.
Today we're going to be talking to you. Actually, this video we're going to walk you through boondocking. We're going to make a series of brief videos. It's something that we haven't done so long that it's become routine, but it's something that we've done long enough to know we really enjoy.
Yes.
The month we were in South Dakota, 3.5 weeks of that, we had no hookups. And so something we realize that a lot of people don't understand is, okay, I'm in a campsite and I don't have hookups. What do I do now? So there are 4 things that you're going to need.
You're going to need some, you're going to need some power.
You're going to need water.
You're going to need somewhere to dispose of your sewage.
And your trash. And those 4 things you're going to need on a recurring basis. And we're going to talk about that. So first of all, let's just talk about the how-to. Water. Somewhere on the outside of your RV, you're going to see a freshwater fill. And most RVs, it's just a gravity fill. You take a freshwater hose, hook it to a water spigot, and gravity fill. And now that tank will need to be sanitized approximately every 6 months if you're going to be using that for drinking water. It's not hard, it's not difficult. We have a video for how we do it.
Yes, and it works wonderfully.
It works well for us. So, with water, you will need to turn on your water pump, and then if you
want hot water, like if you're going to shower or wash dishes or something, you need hot water, you'll turn on your propane water heater.
And once you've done those 2 things, that's it. Your water works the same as if you had, if you were plugged in, from a city water supply. And so that's a really simple way. Now, we will say that we don't leave our hot water heater on unless we're getting ready to wash dishes or take a shower, just because we want to save that. Now, one of the big things about dry camping or boondocking is conserving. And so you want to be very conservative on how you're using your water. But when you use your water, it's then going into your holding tanks, your black tank and your gray tank. And so you do want to do things like take a Navy shower.
With the Navy shower, you just get wet, then soap from top down, and then rinse.
Right, so you turn the water off in between those. And so it really uses very little of your fresh water, and it doesn't put a lot in your gray tank. Now, one thing that we do is we have 1-gallon containers that we carry with us in our van. Starting off, we use those for the pets. But as they get used, if we are dry camping and we're somewhere like a city park or
when we were at Custer State Park,
they had water spigots at various locations. We take, or large gas stations, things like that. So this is going to be, where do you find that water? A lot of large truck stop kind of places. Yesterday, we filled our freshwater tank at a Pilot truck lane. And so, but we can fill those 8-gallon containers and then add more to our fresh water as we use it. But once it gets into that black tank and gray tank,
you have to get rid of it. Now, one of the things that we didn't first with COVID, is use if you're in a park somewhere, use the facilities, the bathrooms in the park. As we've gone on and we wear masks and all of that, we do use restrooms in the park.
And that's one of the things, because that's going to be conserving.
Except at night. But it makes a world of difference, because you don't want to flush all that water every time you...
So a lot of people use composting toilets, things like that. But this is an example. We are at an equestrian site. So we're in a state park, but we have no hookups.
Yeah.
And so we filled our fresh water tank. We're relying on our black and gray tank. And when we leave here, we'll go to the dump station. So a lot of times you're going to be in a campground where that dump station is nearby.
Yes.
There are going to be other times you're going to have to find one.
And you need a backup plan.
But one resource is, once again, many of those larger truck stops, they have dump stations. There may be a fee. There are a number of places that may have them that if you purchase something using the dump station is free.
Cabela's.
That is a great example. You go in and spend something, buy something, and you get to dump for free. And if you don't buy anything, it costs $5.
And I think the Pilots and Flying J's are either 5 or 10.
I think they are 10. But I know up north there's like Maverick, and many of those are free, or if you buy something, you can use their dump station for free. Rest areas, especially like in Mississippi, their rest areas all had dump stations. Louisiana had some dump stations at their rest areas. You can go to some apps to find out. Campinium, RV Parky are a couple. Or you can just Google dump stations in whatever state you're in and see where those show up. But like Marlena said, you're going to want to double check, have a backup plan so that if you get to one and it's closed.
When we were in Wyoming, Sharon had researched, she saw that there was a rest area, a regular rest area with a dump station in Sundance, Wyoming. Well, we wanted to kind of check out where we were going to be staying. It wasn't a far drive, so we drove up and looked around. That rest area was completely closed, including, of course, the dump station.
And so we actually were staying north of Rapid City, had gone up to Spearfish and realized it wasn't that far from Spearfish over to Sundance. Thankfully, we had done that, so we were able to go back to the Cabela's at Rapid City and empty our tanks.
Sure.
But then you're going to have trash. Once again, conserving is a great way to narrow down how much trash you're going to have. And what I mean by that is, if you go somewhere and purchase...
I can't remember what you bought, but it was packaged in something much larger than the item was.
Like a hard plastic.
Yeah.
Well, leave that, cut it out of that hard plastic container, leave that in a trash can where you bought it, and then just carry your item. Or a lot of people with like cereal, they're going to put it in a canister when they get to their RV. Well, leave the box for the cereal at
home in
at
the trash.
At the store in a
Yes.
trash can, so you're not having
Yes.
to bring that back. Once again, if you're in a campground, and we have dry camped or boondocked in a number of campgrounds, many of those are going to have dumpsters. And so that's going to take care of it for you. But if not...
One thing we learned watching other YouTubers is when they go into town to a restaurant or to a store or something, they each take a Walmart sack full of trash. And that way, you don't want to take your whole kitchen garbage.
It spreads out the love. And think about it, if you go to a gas station, there's going to be a trash can there. If you go to a strip mall or something like that where there are a number of little stores, they're going to have trash cans available. Walmart has trash cans in their parking lot. Visitor centers, if you're going to a state park or a national park, the visitor centers, they have trash cans outside those. And so being able to take just a small amount of trash several different times, several different places, that's going to get rid of a lot of your trash. And then once you leave, if you're going to a dump station, there's probably going to be a trash receptacle near there. Okay, power. If your RV is fully self-contained, then it's probably going to come with a deep cell battery. That's what most of them come with, traditionally, and propane. And so with the propane is going to run, as we showed you, your hot water heater, but it's also going to run your refrigerator. So when we get ready when we're dry camping, like right here, we've switched our refrigerator over to propane.
From electric.
From electric or just auto. And we did that because that way if we turn the generator on, it's not switching back and forth. But Most RVs then come also with propane stove
Oven.
and ovens. Some of them have ovens. Now they're not all having ovens. The furnace is a combination. The heat for the furnace comes from propane, but the blowers, the fans for the furnace are electric, or come from the battery. But that's basically what your propane is going to run. Your hot water heater, your refrigerator, and then for cooking, and your furnace. The batteries. The easiest way to find out what your batteries run is make sure your batteries are charged, having had your RV plugged in, then unplug it and see what works. And I'll tell you what works on ours, and there's some things that you may not think of. But first of all, our power jack up front, our slide, our awning. Going inside, all of the lights are pulling from the battery. Our carbon monoxide detector, well, actually we have 2 carbon monoxide detectors. The water pump runs off of the battery. Our stereo, we have a super fan, and we have a vent in the bathroom that has a fan. Those all run from the battery. And so if you're just going to be dry camping overnight, then you should be fine. Now, notice what I didn't say at any point here, and that is there are no outlets.
Yeah.
That's going to be a whole different thing, and so I'll hit that here briefly, and that is because you're pulling down from that battery, you're going to need to recharge it.
Yes.
There are a number of ways you can recharge. If, starting out, what we did, we put in a little solar, but if we weren't going to do both, I would say get an inverter generator.
Yes.
And that way it will charge that battery, and at the same time, when your RV is plugged into that generator, all of your outlets will work. So you can easily recharge your phones, tablets, computers, cameras, things like that. Not everybody would start with that, but that's going to be the easiest way. There are what are called solar suitcase, and it's solar panels with a charge controller that just connects directly to your battery, and you can use that to charge your battery, recharge your battery. I'm not going to get into solar because there are too many variables, but I will say if your RV says it comes solar ready, then ask the dealer what that means.
Or solar equipped.
It doesn't mean you can just plug a solar panel in and you're good to go for most RVs. So you want to check that out first. And then propane, places to refill your propane.
Tractor Supply.
Yeah. If you're in a park, ask the park host because they're going to be refilling their propane tanks on a regular basis. So asking that park host will be an easy way to find out. Once again, on many of those large truck stops, they're going to have places that you can refill your propane tanks. There are propane dealerships often where you refill those. And then one of the reasons we love having the 20-pound tanks is if bad comes to worse, we can always just go
exchange them.
Any kind of a convenience store, just about, we can exchange them. But we'd prefer to go on and have them refilled from what we've been told. Well, for one thing, we know the age of our tanks.
Yes.
And the other is that the refilling, you get a little bit more.
Yes.
So, those are the 4 things that you're going to need on a recurring basis while you're out there dry camping. And like we said, we kind of walked you through. Once ours is set, it's turning on a water pump, changing a couple of things over, plug the generator in, you have access to your outlets. And I always think of dry camping like right now. We're at a campsite. We have a fire pit, we have a picnic table, we have a horse stall back here. But we have things that you would have, a lantern ring. We have a campsite. We're not just out in the middle of nowhere. When we were on Padre Island National Seashore, we were boondocking. When we were on the edge of walls dispersed, the Badlands, we were boondocking. We had nothing. So anyway, we hope you've enjoyed our 101 tutorial of what we do and how it looks different than when we're camping with hookups. Thanks for watching
Two Tired Teachers.